Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington, an original shark from the hit television show Shark Tank. And with me today is Jeff Krahl. Hey, Jeff, welcome.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
You know, I love your background, and you're going to love this too when you hear about it. Jeff is a speaker, number one, all over the place. You're an author. You've written books, best-selling books, and you're also an international business advisor and coach, right?
Yes.
And I know that you happen to focus in a couple areas. One, you really get involved in the sales process, looking at the business, seeing where the holes are, but looking to see how you can help increase sales by increasing the punch of the sales presentations, et cetera. And the last thing I'm going to mention, because we're going to talk about this, is you help people have a good exit and to understand that what's the reason for starting the business? Well, maybe because you should have an exit to have some, take some chips off the table, right?
Yeah.
So that's an important part also. We're going to talk about that. So I've said a mouthful. I want to hear from you now, though.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about a day in the life of your business.
Yeah. So, like you said, I spent a lot of time with business owners on the phone, working with them, Zoom, sometimes live at their organization or their business. And the goal is always, helping them increase their sales, increase their profitability.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
That's what every
what
business
does an entrepreneur
owner
want? More money, right?
Exactly. When I hang out with those CEOs and business, that's all they talk about
Right.
is, the yo-yo effect that they have in their sales.
Right.
And how do I straighten that out? How do I continue to grow that? And those are the kind of problems I love solving, know. And then they talk always a lot about their employees, how, they're frustrated with them or they can't find enough good talent. And there's always issues in there. And that's another key area that I spent a lot of time is developing a high performance culture and really making sure that they have that one piece in place, because if the team's not on board, they're not growing.
Right. Yes.
And always having the mindset of, I mentioned this, is that you always want to be thinking to sell your business.
Right.
You don't have to sell your business. Most business owners don't want to. They're in the business for life and all of that. And that's great.
Yeah.
But God forbid, something happens. Life does happen.
Life happens.
And if you didn't prepare it in a way to sell it,
right.
then you're always going to have to sell it as a discount. I think of
Yeah.
like selling a home, right?
Exactly.
You don't keep it up to date
Right.
when you have to sell it.
Well,
if it's not prepared, you ain't getting top dollar.
Entrepreneurs also, sometimes, hey, if you end up with a health issue and you're not able to be there all day, every day, the business starts suffering. You might have been better off having sold it and again, take some chips off the table. But
Yeah.
I think that process of selling is important because people, when they start a business, they should have the end in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means the end in mind, meaning if they do want to sell it, there's ways to program that so that they can get the most amount of money for it when they're ready to do it, right?
Exactly.
By programming their numbers to appeal to a certain kind of buyer, correct?
Exactly.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
and most business owners, they don't know who their buyer is.
right,
Right?
Exactly.
And so they don't know what their buyer's thinking then.
exactly.
And so
or what the
how do you
buyers, what the framework that the buyers need to be able to make it the acquisition.
Exactly. The framework that they go through, they don't understand what they're looking for, what they want. And because of that, they're building a business without knowing any of that.
Right, exactly.
And that's a big, huge missing piece. And the other thing they don't understand is when you do build the business that way, they also can go to banks
right.
and so on because they have all those pieces in place.
Yes.
And they can actually borrow more money, use that money to grow the business even faster.
Yes.
But they don't realize that.
Exactly. I mean, I invested in a company about 3 years ago, and they wanted to sell the business. And so when we went out and we started talking to private equity, and the equity guy said, "Look, we need a minimum of $5 million in EBITDA profit,
Right.
And we need this, and we need this, and we need this." So now that was about 18 months ago. So we said, okay, let's take what he told him that he needs, and now let's program our business to bring everything that he needs to reality in terms of the numbers, the percentages, the EBITDA, the this, the that. So slowly but surely, we're getting our numbers to the point where we know this guy is going to be ready to buy the business. And that's how it works.
Exactly. And a lot of times the business owners need years
Exactly.
to do that.
Can't do it in 6 months sometimes.
Unless they started from the beginning to
Right.
build it the right way.
Exactly.
And I
Right.
think that's the key. And a lot of times we start with our business owners with that analysis to find all the different problems, all the different gaps. We don't have to solve them all today,
Right.
but you should be aware of them. And that self-awareness, I think, allows them to go, you know what? Instead of focusing on this like I came to you with,
Right.
I really think we should focus on here based on now what I can see.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah, makes sense. So let's talk about, I mean, you've been dealing with many companies in these arenas, helping them start, helping them maximize their profits. Let's talk about an example of somebody, without giving their name, because keep it confidential, but a company that you helped that was kind of stuck, and you came in, worked, whether it was their sales processes or their exit strategy, and brought major value to the table for them.
Yeah. So like one of my clients, so I won't say names.
Yeah.
One of my clients, for example, he came to me and he's been in the business for like 30 years. You know, he's making a good, solid $1 million profit in his business.
Okay.
But it took him 30 years to do that because
Okay.
what we noticed is he was working too much in the business
Right.
versus out of the business.
Out of the business, right.
And so when we were
Sometimes
able to
you
do
get
that
those blinders
analysis
on
and start to help them
Right.
figure it out, you know, he's working hard. He's doing this for 30 years to get this $1 million of recurring, which was great business, but it took 30 years to get there.
Right.
And after we did an analysis and we started going through and filling all the gaps to him, he started to realize like this one simple tip that we taught him, he could double his income.
Right.
And like within 12 months, you know, he had a $2 million business. And then a few years later, he was able to build that to a $4 million business. And then he started automating his systems and processes to pull him out of the business to give more time, which he really deserved after 30 some odd years now.
Yeah.
And then more importantly, he was able to sell it for top dollar.
Sure.
And step out very quickly without having a lot of responsibility.
The difference between $1 million profit business and a $4 million is so big because you may have very few buyers that, certainly like private equity, they're not interested at lower levels. They want to see that $4 or $5 million EBITDA, right? So that's where you get big return, and that's the difference between selling the company for a couple $1 million versus selling it for 30 or 40 or 50 million.
And he would have gone on for years,
right?
You know,
just
happy with his 1 million and working, you know, way too many hours that he should be working.
Yeah.
But it was just those simple things to get them involved and know what those were that helped them accelerate.
So the challenge that a guy like that he's too close and working too much in the business instead of outside of the business, as you said. I like that analogy. So, so that's a great story. And then, entrepreneurs have challenges, right? And this is part of. I mean, if it was so easy, everyone would be an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
So in the if somebody's out there right now and they're saying to myself, you know, how would this work for me? How do you work with people? Do you have, is it a consulting business, a coaching business? And so, you know, you probably sit down with people up front just to get to know them a little, to understand what they need, and then give them a proposal kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. So a lot of times if someone comes to me, they're going to want to, you know, sit down and have me look at their business. Like I said, I always want to do an analysis with them so that we get a clear picture. And then from there, we create a blueprint, right? We create a blueprint of what is it that they have to do and how involved they want us to be.
Right.
You know, because I think most consultants that come into a business, they're solving one problem.
Right.
And they're usually, you know, either they're solving a problem or they're coming in more like another employee of the business to support it.
Yeah.
And so we don't like to do that. We like to really step back and let them know that, hey, we're going to train the employees.
Gotcha.
We're going to develop that high performance culture
Nice.
and really be involved in that, because when we do that and we leave, the team can survive.
Gotcha.
The system and the process will continue on whether we're there or
Makes
not.
sense. Right. Automation. Right.
Because that team is involved with that.
Beautiful.
And we allow the owner to really go through what they want, right? Like business owners, they always want higher profits. They want things automated that require very little of their time.
Right. Yeah.
And they also want to know that they'll get the highest multiple for their business.
Yes.
And so when we do that analysis with them, that's what we focus on.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And, we have online products and we have events that I speak at and different trainings that we can do and live trainings at their office. But, it just depends on the situation. But the best thing is to always just reach out to us and let us,
Nice.
find out what's there.
You heard it here first. Jeff Krahl is an awesome entrepreneur himself and has helped many companies create stronger sales systems, understand the value of the business, create automation so that, most people that want to buy a business, they love automation. They love things that operate without having to be there minute to minute, right?
Yeah.
So I recommend that you talk to Jeff Krahl about how his company can provide some of this business consulting to you as an entrepreneur to take you not only to the next level, increase your sales, but give you a very strong exit strategy, which is one of the most important things in today's marketplace. So thank you for being here today. And Jeff, thanks a lot. Great content today.
You bet.
Thank you. Take care.